Lesson 4.4, Video 3. So let's talk about multiplying polynomials that are not two binomials. One example is multiplying through a monomial. And if we do that, we will multiply 5a squared times everything in the parentheses. Now we have to remember that when we multiply letters into the same letters, the powers will add. So in this case, we will get negative 20 a to the fourth. I went 2 plus 2. I multiply it by the next term, and we get plus 10 a to the third, because that's a to the 1 right there. We multiply it to the third, and we get negative 35a squared. Now you have to make sure that there's no like terms, and they're all different, so that one is finished. On our next one, again, we're going to distribute. Now it's a negative 6 being distributed, so I get negative 18. B to the third, B to the second gives us, and again we're adding, so B to the fifth. Multiply the next one, and we get positive now, 24B to the fourth, because again that's B to the 1. And then our last one is a positive 54, and now it's just B cubed because there's nothing else to multiply it by. So let's try a more interesting one. Same scenario, but now we're just going to have one more step to do when we're finished. So if I multiply by, so notice we have a monomial being multiplied by a trinomial, and then another monomial being multiplied by a trinomial. So we'll do the first one, and we will get 15a squared plus 6a minus 15. Now on the next one I recommend that you make it, instead of minus a, you're going to say plus a negative a, to help us remember that we are multiplying a negative a through. So if we do that, we get a negative 6a cubed, because remember it's a to the 1, we add exponents, if they're the same letter. Next one will be a minus 2a squared. And the last one will be a positive, because it's a negative times negative, 4a. Now, when we get this taken care of, we have to be sure that we've combined like terms in order for us to say that we are finished. So if we look at this, I notice that we do not have any other a cubes. So I'll just write minus 6a cubed, and that one's been written down. But we do have 5a squared and 15a squared and negative 2a squared. So those two can get put together because they're like terms, and that will give us a positive 13a squared. The powers do not change when we're adding and subtracting like terms. Then we notice that we have a 4a and a 6a. So those two are like terms. When we put those together, we get a positive 10a. 15 is the only constant, and again it's a negative 15, so that will not combine with anything else. So now we've finished it because we had like terms to combine, and it's done. One more. First one, same rules. We're going to distribute, but now it's a monomial times a binomial, and I get 100. There is no other y, so y stays y squared. Z to the 1 times z to the fourth is z to the fifth. I multiply by the next one, and I get 50. Again, y squared doesn't change, and z becomes z squared. Again, I'm going to say change this to plus a negative 2y, so we remember that we're distributing a negative 2y, which will give us a negative 2. Now there are two different y's, so we get y squared, and z does not change. Multiply the next one, we get negative 8. And now we have y squared. So again, distributing both, now we have to make sure that we combine like terms. If we look closely, we do have a y squared z to the fifth in two different places. So those two are like terms, and that would give us 98 y squared z to the fifth. And there's no other like terms, so we can just write down the remaining terms. And that is considered finished. And this ends Lesson 4.4, Video 3.